three-time winner at the International Grand Prix of Magic in Monte Carlo, Jeff McBride is known around the world as one of the most original and exciting performers of our time. He holds Guinness World Records in 3 categories. His show combines drama, sleight of hand, comedy, and dazzling grand illusion. The LA Times calls McBride a showstopper. Has to be seen to be believed. McBride's award-winning mask act has taken him around the world as an international television personality. He was the featured judge on the VH1 series Celebra Cadabra. He's a 3-time winner of the World Magic Awards and is recognized around the world for his many appearances on Masters of Illusion. Star Trek fans know him as Joran, a role specially created for him on Star Trek Deep Space Nine. He's been a celebrity guest on every major television network and's also been featured in documentaries on PBS and the Learning Channel. Jeff McBride is a dynamic keynote speaker, offering motivational talks to companies and audiences worldwide on creativity and problem solving. He's the founder and creator of the Magic and Mystery School, the world's leading school for professional magicians, where students gather to learn the true secrets from the masters. BBC TV News calls McBride's Magic and Mystery School the most prestigious magic school in the world. From Bali to Burning Man, Jeff McBride's astounded audiences in over 40 countries around the world. Jeff McBride's headlined some of the largest venues and arenas, from Caesar's Palace and many top Las Vegas showrooms to Radio City Music Hall in New York. Experience the mask, the magic, and mystery of Jeff McBride.
Hi, welcome. My name is Jeff McBride. And
I'm Abigail.
And welcome to the McBride House of Mystery. Come right in. I've been a professional stage magician. I started magic 50 years ago, and I moved to Las Vegas to be the opening act for Diana Ross at Caesar's Palace, and then I bought this home about a little bit over 20 years ago.
And 20 years ago I moved in to help him make the house a home.
Let us give you a little initiation into the McBride House of Mystery. Right this way. This house is filled with magic and masks and artifacts from all over the world. It's a regular cabinet of curiosities. A lot of magicians have, well, white tigers in Vegas. Not us. No, we have dragons. Our dragons are from mainland China, and they were a gift to us from master illusionist Franz Harari, who brought them back from China and just had to make space in his warehouse, so we were fortunate enough to have a pair of dragons to protect our home.
This is the Magic Studio. It's our movement space where I practice my belly dance, and we also work with students from all over the world. We'll say abracadabra and watch for something magical.
Abracadabra! Welcome to the inner sanctum at the House of Mystery. Come in, Abigail. This is one of the largest magic libraries in the world. There are thousands and thousands of books in here on just about every subject. And thousands of students study our books from all over the world. They come here and we ignite their mind with magic.
Jeff has been winning awards for the last 20 years that I've been here and beyond. Most recently, he was on Fool Us with Penn and Teller, where he was one of the very few magicians who actually fooled Penn and Teller. And just last week, Jeff was in London, where he was given the David Devant Award, Magic's highest honor from the Magic Circle in London.
It's Jeff McBride here from the Magic and Mystery School in Las Vegas, now in our 30th year of helping magicians around the world.
Wow,
And how can I help you today? How can I help you today?
Yeah, so first of all, let me just say this. Thank you so much, sir, for doing this interview. You know, like, trust me, I'm saying this deep down from my heart that this moment right here, the moment where you're talking to me, the moment I'm talking to you, this is something that I will cherish forever in my life. And because you are the greatest living legend in the magic industry, you are the greatest magician in the world, and you're the greatest manipulator of all time. And trust me, this is something great. I mean, you are the founder of the world's best magic school. And
we've been teaching magic for many years to some of the top magicians in the world and magicians all over the world. And now, because of the recent pandemic, everybody is now much more connected to each other online through the internet. So we can offer free programs to magicians around the world. So we have lots of free programs that your friends can watch on magic performance and philosophy and the theory of magic, also character development. We have many different programs that are free. If you go to my website, McBrideMagic.tv, there are many, many things there that we have created for our friends around the world to watch and to train during this time.
so sure, I will be actually putting all the links to your website and the magic school as well in my description. So yeah, I will give it that, and it will really help magicians out there. So, and again, once again, you are actually doing a great thing for the community at this time, because I know you are a super busy person, but this time when in lockdown period, you are actually contributing the online free stuff for the magicians out there. That is really
very important during this time of confusion to create a safe place for magicians to come and share in community and to help each other during this time, helping each other train, helping each other learn how to do online Zoom shows and other online platforms, because there are many people that, especially older people and younger people, kids that are home, that are not in schools, that are isolated, and magic is a great way of connecting. Unlike many other forms of theater, like plays and musicals, magic is very intimate. It can touch and talk to the home viewer in a way that other big type performances, like even big Las Vegas shows, don't have the immediacy and the intimacy to reach out across the screen and involve the people. And that's the beauty and power of magic. It can connect people all over the world.
Exactly, that's true though. So with that said, let's start the session, sir. So my first question is that if you look at your performance, you are from the Las Vegas, USA, and if you look at your stage performance, it's not like the other performers who do it in the Western style, or it's not like the other performers who do it in the Eastern style. The interesting part, thing about you is that your stage performance is a blend of kabuki, which is actually a classical Japanese dance drama, right? And also the traditional conjuring. So what actually inspired you to blend or to mix kabuki and the traditional conjuring?
I started magic when I was about 7 years old, and I started by reading books. And I grew up not in New York City, but in the mountains in upstate New York, where there wasn't any magicians. So my only exposure to magic was library books, and occasionally a magician would perform on television. But we had no VCRs or any way to record the magic, so we had to memorize it. Around this same time, I got into judo, aikido, and other martial arts, especially goju-ryu karate. And I started to train as a martial artist. And I just liked different movement disciplines. And I started to combine a little bit of magic and martial arts, even at a young age when I was working, doing karate demonstrations for my instructor, Rick Jocelyn. We would perform at hotels doing demonstrations. I was the guy that would throw the punch and he would flip me and, punch me and do all of that. But I also worked with him on creating a kind of magical performances with blades and katas and things that would float for a minute. So we would do a sword kata, and all of a sudden the sword would float. So I'd always been interested in Eastern disciplines. And by the time I was 16 years old, I had a professional enough magic act that I could travel to Japan as the opening act for a big Latin salsa supergroup at that time called the Fania All-Stars. It's still pretty famous in Latin America. And I got to travel through Japan and be exposed to Japanese culture. And when I returned to the USA, I took all of these theatrical disciplines, magic and movement and a little bit of dance. I was a freestyle skier, martial arts, and at that time, pantomime was very big coming in on the scene in the pop culture. And I studied to study pantomime at the American Mind Theater in New York City when I graduated high school around 18 years old. So I combined all of these different theatrical disciplines to create a magic show which was not just about tricks. We see so much of this TikTok and Instagram eye candy, and eye candy's great, little quick tricks. But I wanted to do something that transformed eye candy into soul food. I was exposed to New York City theater, and I was studying pantomime and dance, and I was hanging around wonderful magicians that had artistic sensibilities, like the great Jeff Sheridan, who was a theater magician, as well as being one of the world's, if not the world's most famous street magician at that time. So I had all these influences, and I started combining masks and martial arts and making my show more theatrical than just about the trick. I wanted to add more meaning to the magic. And there's a place for everything. In Las Vegas, I do eye candy magic, but in the theater, I do things that are a little bit more thought-provoking, because I believe that in magic, we perform for two major kinds of audiences. We perform for thinking audiences and drinking audiences. There are people that like to go deep into the mystery of magic and appreciate it on a mythological, on a theatrical and artistic level. And then we perform for people at parties and at dances and at other festivities, social festivities, where people are drinking and they just want to blow off steam and see a little fun magic. So there's these two extremes, and I run the extreme from New York City theater to Las Vegas kind of, flash magic show. And I kind of combine these things, and I can dial in my performance depending on the audience I'm in front of, and I can change, my presentation based on the needs of the theatrical or party audience at the time.
Wow. And also talking about theater, it's not like the close-up magic scene, because in close-up magic, the presentation and the style is entirely different. And when it comes to stage,
I'll beg to argue that. There are some magic performers that do close-up magic that are highly theatrical. And if you've ever seen the great René Lavande, the South American master, his close-up magic, he only did really close-up magic with cards. And his presentations were deeply theatrical, and he played for packed theater audiences of very intelligent, very high-status people. So there are examples of great masters like Ricky Jay doing a number of incredible theatrical performances. However, right now, the trend seems to be at like pop TikTok magic, which I think,
get it.
Yeah.
So what I was actually going to ask is that, see, if you are a close-up performer and we got a stage show, let's say, how to take our close-up magic on stage and make it play big, like a theater performance?
Well, today there are going to be two types of performers. Those who can work in front of a big audience because they're theatrically trained, and those who can't. Those who can just work on camera if there's a camera. Now, I've worked the biggest proscenium theater in the world with a pack of cards, without camera support. And this is Radio City Music Hall in New York City. It's 6,000 seats, 6,000 seats. And the only other person that did card magic there was Cardini. But because of the way they stage it and light it, even the balcony seats can see what's going on. Now, I worked that back in the 80s, and they didn't have big screen support back then. So the audience had to see me, and I had to be prepared theatrically to make all of my magic play very big in that room. Today's performers, I think, that of course, they need to study broadcasting and being able to connect with the home viewer, but they also have to be able to, if they want to play larger and larger venues, if that's a choice, because right now there are no larger and larger venues. Everybody's preparing to work on this very intimate medium, which is television, which is video, which are all the online platforms. So this is a great equalizer. Back in the day when I grew up, we spent our $3,000 on a zigzag or a metamorphosis subtrunk. Today, a young performer spends it on a HD camera and a webcam. So the interest is in a different sort of technology right now. But what can close-up performers do? They can study acting. They can study improv. They can study theater to create more of a dramatic art than just doing flap cards endlessly at the camera to techno music.
Yeah, that's true though. And also, I believe there is a big difference. I mean, there is a difference between being a self-taught magician and having a great mentor in magic. It's like, even though we can learn more about magic by learning, buying DVDs and learning from that, and or learning from YouTube, but I truly believe, in my perspective, having a great mentor helps us to get more insights about the art form. And a mentor will help us to be a better magician according to our personality, right? So I think I heard that Eugene Berger actually mentored you. So what was the experience, and in what ways Eugene Berger inspired you in your performance?
Well,
Eugene
Berger and we've been working together over 35 years. We've had the school 30 years. He passed on, but he passed on his legacy to me. And he was a close-up performer that had an incredible ability to create a theatrical environment. And it was because of his presentation and his scripting and his ability to connect with people as an actor magician that made him one of the most successful and beloved close-up magicians in the history of the world. I mean, he was definitely one of the most important writers of the 20th and 21st century. That's for sure. And his magic lives on here. And we mentor many people. People like Matt Franco started at our school with Eugene and I when he was 12 years old. Aaron Crow came to our school, and we helped develop shows for him for television and The Illusionist. And many others have come through our school and gone on to full-time careers. People that are learning from YouTube aren't learning the history of magic. They're just learning what's popular at the moment. In order to have a grounded understanding of the history of magic, you have to read, because there's only that much on DVD and video. And then there's the rest of the history of magic, which is this incredibly rich archive for us to draw inspiration and originality. And most people right now have no idea the sources of where the material comes, the history, because they're not well read, because everybody calls themselves visual learners, which is a total cop-out, because there is incredible riches waiting for people that delve into the books. And you need a mentor to point the way, because peer-to-peer learning on Facebook groups and in other kind of magic groups is not as effective as having a master-student relationship where this person can save you years of purchasing crap. They can point you towards the very best literature and magic material that would take you, and they can help you shave years off of your learning curve and wasting your time. And what a mentor does is help you focus and set goals for your progress and keeps you accountable for reaching your goals and polishing your routines and focusing. Now, the new dean of the Magic and Mystery School, his name is Dr. Larry Haas, and he says this, and this is very important. In the age of distraction, the focused will inherit the earth. There are so much distraction. There are so many magic videos and free things, and get on Reddit, and and just you can just watch media till you're blind. However, I think being this close to the screen gives us a very short vision. And I think that if you study the history, it gives you a much deeper vision of the past and a much further vision of the future. And if you're right in front of the screen, I think your vision is very limited. And it's limited to what is pop culture right in this moment. It's timely, it's pop, but it's not timeless and eternal. And what I'm interested in is tapping into the mythic themes, to things that are more meaningful for people. And if you watch my earlier performances, it's really about a struggle. And it's really about a struggle of the artist to break free of the things that hold him back. And what a mentor does is recognize the genius inside of the student and try to give them things to help them achieve their personal goals along the path. Now, today, there is so much free information out there. And in an age of free information, wisdom, which is very different than information, wisdom, there's too much of it. I mean, well, information, there's too much of it. But wisdom, there's very little of. And in the age of free information, wisdom is priceless. And that's why I was drawn to Eugene Berger. That's why I was drawn to people like Bob Neal, like Max Maven, wise elders that have life experience that can really help nurture my career. And that is why I started the Mystery School. It wasn't to teach, it was to study with masters. And we had Eugene Berger, and we had Max Maven, and we had Peter Samuelson and Stephen Minch, and many, and in the later mystery schools, if you wanted to study illusion, Jonathan Pendragon was here. If you wanted to study mentalism, Max Maven teaches here. So it was a place for me to tap into the source of wisdom, experience, and the philosophy of magic, to give my life more meaning than just a flap card changes from the 10 of spades to the 8 of hearts.
Oh, that's so amazing. I mean, it's completely true that what you said. That's why I asked you this question, because I also need to understand and get the information from you about the difference between learning from YouTube and learning from the true masters. And that's exactly what you said is true. And what actually, this question I was actually going to ask, but you actually said it in the previous answer, that I was about to ask that what was the inspiration to start McBride's Magic and Mystery School?
It's because I wanted to be a good student. I started it because I wanted to study, and I'm still studying all the time. I study all the time because I have students all around the world with different needs, and I have to research information to be able to deliver it to them, to help them grow in the art of magic. And I think what you said just now, that magicians should listen properly, because you are a true legend. You are the greatest living legend in the magic industry, and you are saying, like you itself are saying, that you are still studying. And there are magicians out there like acting like they know everything. So they need to see this and listen to this. Well, as you see, I think I gave you a clip. You'll see where I study in the house. I've been, I've been collecting books, and not just collecting them, but reading as much magic literature as I can, so I know all the different branches of magic. See, I'm not a specialist. I have, an extensive knowledge from close-up magic, parlor magic, stage magic, illusion, street magic, also mentalism, also, all of the different types of presentation and theater and mask work and mime and movement. So we bring all of these different forms of magic to our students, and depending on what their need is, we can pass on this information that's been passed on for generations. The real secrets of magic are not on YouTube. The real secrets of magic are passed from master to student in whispers.
Wow. If I may ask you, how do you define magic, or what's your philosophy about magic? We would love to know that.
I don't publish anything on YouTube. Everything that I have is at our Magic School archives. You have to become a member of our school and be serious to access anything. I am very very involved with working with serious students. I'm not worried about getting likes. I'm not worried about getting clicks and views. That's, as Lance Burton said something so great. He goes, getting 2 million views on YouTube doesn't make you a good magician. It just makes you a celebrity. To be a good magician, go work on your magic.
That's true. I mean, nowadays magicians are not realizing that. I mean, they are more eager and chasing the number of likes and number of views in this modern world rather
And
than mastering the craft.
And it's an endless, and I think it's an endless gerbil wheel. I think it's an endless wheel of karma to be able to just chase more and more hits and more likes from people that never met you, you know? And I think it's much better off to connect and go deep with a few people than to go shallow with millions.
Yeah, that's true though. That's true. That's completely true. And let's talk about this right now. Like I heard from many people that they have many perspectives about failures. They say like failures are the stepping stone to success. And some magicians say that it's like we should have a backup plan so that we can overcome the failures in the magic performance. And like many great performers already said this, that we learn more things from failures rather than being a successfully performing an effect. So how do you see failure? And let's say in our stage performance we had backup plan, but then that also terribly went wrong. So how do you see about failures in magic?
Well, I will tell you one thing. If you're just studying magic, you're not studying enough about life. You have to study theater, and especially improvisational theater. And I'm not talking about improvisational comedy. I'm talking about improvisational theater, because it teaches you how to live in the moment of now. Because when we're on stage, there are 3 shows. We're in front of people. There are 3 shows. There's the show that we rehearsed. There's the show that happened that could have fallen apart. And then there's the show in our head that we wished we should have done in retrospect. The things that we would fix if we were to do it again. And what improvisation teaches you how to do is live in that middle section, because we can practice all we want at home. We can practice all we want at home and everything goes perfectly right. And then we get to the show and something goes terribly wrong. How do we get out of that situation? That's what improv theater teaches us, how to move through a situation. Even if our prepared outs don't work, we can still move through this situation and relate to the moment, the other people that we're interacting with, or the audience, and get out with grace and humor. And that is the lesson of a real master. Channing Pollock, who was Johnny Thompson's teacher, who was Lance Burton's teacher, said, you can tell the quality of a magician by how they handle the mistakes, how they dance out of mistakes on stage with grace and dignity and keeping everything intact instead of crashing and burning and feeling terrible and go, I should have done this and I should have done that. So magic will not prepare us for life. Only studying the human condition, studying psychology, studying philosophy, and improvisational theater will help us get over those challenging moments where everything apparently goes wrong, but that's what happens in movies. At the last moment, everything crashes, and then the hero emerges victorious. And this is happening in every moment of our lives. We have an opportunity to tap into the source of inspiration and to take any situation and, like an alchemist, transform it from lead into gold.
See, like literally, I'm actually getting goosebumps, because each and every words you say is actually really, really wise. So I was actually wondering about this. Okay, so it's like everyone in the world cannot be a magician. If they learn tricks from YouTube, it doesn't make them magician. And every magician cannot be a great magician. And every great magician cannot be a great teacher. So you need all the qualities in the magic world, and you need to have like very much really good understanding about the art form. So I was actually wondering that how a magician can become a great teacher in magic.
Well, as Eugene Berger said, there are many rooms in the House of Magic. There's a room for the YouTubers. that are exchanging their little tricks for, their audiences, and that's great. And there's a room for the professionals, and there's a room for the secret collectors that just want to know how the tricks are done. And they crawl the internet and they look at all the exposure videos on YouTube, and they look at all of the new magic tricks on all of the different websites and go and learn how the tricks are done. And they'll never perform them, but they want to just collect information the way people collect stamps or little cars or Star Wars figures. They're collecting secrets. And then there's other people that collect props. And there's other people that like to read about the history of magic. There are many rooms in the House of Magic. Only few will become professional magicians, and fewer will become magic teachers that have experience on stage in front of all different types of audiences. There are many people that teach magic because they can't make it in the performance world. But I think a good magician is a magician that is in their 60s or 70s or 80s, that has had a brilliant stage career and has actually performed in all the venues that the students might like to work. That they're not, see, there's a difference between a person that teaches how tricks are done and a person that actually has performing experience around the world that can teach a student how to walk on that stage and what to do when that spotlight hits, or what to do when something goes wrong or when you have a heckler. So there's different types of teachers. There's teachers that teach tricks, and there's teachers that teach life. And that's why I studied with Eugene Berger, and that's why I studied with Johnny Thompson, and people that have a rich history and life. And as Juan Tamariz, who I love to study with, says, study with performers and teachers that have a rich interior life, that it's not just about the tricks, but it's about their soul and their heart.
Wow. This is actually, that's completely true. And I think in order to become a great teacher, like you said, we need to have more than at least 30 or 40 years of experience in the magic world, right?
I think so. I think Eugene became a fine teacher in his late 50s and 60s. Before that, he was still learning and understanding life. And he was a philosopher. He was a divinities, student and teacher. He taught religion and he taught philosophy and mythology. So he taught all that, and he had this rich life that he could bring to the magic. It wasn't just about the tricks. So if you want to be a great magician, learn more about life, learn more about theater, art, psychology, philosophy. These are the things that will make you an interesting textured performer, or a TikTok flash act.
And this is something I had never heard of, because most of the performers told me that if you want to be a great magician, learn more about the art form or read magic books, read what the legends have done for the magic. But like, this is the first time I'm hearing that learn more about life, and it actually makes sense. It is completely true. Like you said before, that when failures happens on stage, if the outs also went wrong, if we know about how to deal with the human condition and the environment, we can pretty much come out of that situation. And you know what? I can listen to you for even for 24 hours on the full day, listening to your philosophy and listening to what you say. It's like watching your performance and hearing what you say is itself an art. I mean, I can spend the full day listening to you, but as we both know, we have only limited time. So I'll ask one more question, because it's going to be 30 minutes, as you said before, right? Because we are allotted to only for 30 minutes. So I'll just ask one more question and we can end up the session. So the character development, talking about character development, as we all know, that in order to be a good magician, we need to have a unique personality. And some great performers said that you need to go with the flow. You need to go and perform in different venues, and you will find your own personality. And then some performers told me that it's copy others in the beginning. I mean, learn, just copy the presentation of the masters. That's how you get started. And then as you go with the flow, then you can actually come up with your own personality. You will find yourself. So my question is that, according to you, in your perspective, how we can find our own unique personality and character for the stage performance?
Okay. I think if you just go with the flow, that's total bullshit.
Okay.
Because that's like saying, here, kid, here's a piano, go. It's total bullshit. You want to play the piano? I think you need to take classes. I think you need to learn sheet music. I think you have to learn music theory. I think you have to listen to the great composers. I think you have to try to emulate their mastery. And then after years of deep study, you will develop your own style by training with masters. To go with the flow is giving a 7-year-old kid a grand piano and go, learn. I don't think so. And that's what YouTube is. Here's a TV set. Here's a computer. Go learn magic. You can learn tricks, but you're not going to be a magician. I think if you study with a good acting coach or a good drama department, you will unfold many different sides of yourself that you never knew existed. And I think that magicians, in order to connect outside in the bigger world, have to step outside of the world of magic to connect to the larger world. Magic is about life. Magic is not tricks. And the great Japanese master said it this way: magic is not tricks, it is a way. And that's a philosophy for life.
Wow. I totally agree with you. So, yeah, I think we are like after 30 minutes. So I know that you are super busy there. So once again,
at the end, I invite all of the people here to come and have a great experience at our school. I don't teach any tricks on YouTube. You won't find me there.
Yeah, I know that. I clearly know that.
You won't find me there.
The one thing I want to like say to all the magicians here is that this is not like, I didn't feel like it's an interview. This is more of like, I felt it like a lecture, because you shared your wisdom, and you really shared your wisdom to all the questions I asked. So this is really, I really appreciate for you doing this. So once again, to all the Indian magicians who are watching this, I will give the link to join and to become a member of the most prestigious magic school in the world, which is McBride's Magic and Mystery School. I will give the link in the description in order to become a member of that. And also, I think that there are more, like, you are providing free classes and free sources as well. So if you are going through tough times in this pandemic, if you don't have that money, you can also join in that free stuffs there in the McBride's Magic and Mystery School.
We believe to making it accessible for the world. And I want to thank you for your time. And to all my friends around the world, this is Jeff McBride from Las Vegas saying, keep the magic alive.
Wow. Thank you so much, sir.